briefing. The only thing I didn't really get in detail with was PL notes, and I was told that you get that from the Ranger handbook and your buddies and whatnot, so it's a lot to it. And then react to indirect fire, those are your notes there. Yeah, how do you react? Ambush actions on objective. So this is starting out from the ORP. I just left these blank because I wasn't sure about who went there, but you can just fill those in. So this is when you take contact going to your objective. Just the notes on how that should proceed. Again, you're probably not going to whip this out when you're in a firefight, so it's mostly something to study before that happens. This is just describing how the whole L-shaped ambush would end up once everyone moves through and your support by fire takes the apex. And then some notes for ISR. So this is relatively what you want to call up if you brief an ISR and you get approved for it and you have enough detail. It's the key to getting approved for an ISR is having enough detail about like flight plans and how long it's up there and coordinating it. So when you get to like an LDA, which is what this is talking about, it'll notionally be up in the air by the time you get there. So you could radio this up and then request to see if there's any enemy or civilians in a danger area that you're crossing. And that's typically helpful because if you get it approved and you work the numbers out properly where it jives and you're able to send this up, you can save time on the back end of having to set up a security element and carefully move across. You could just move right across the road because you would be told that, hey, there's no enemy or civilians there, there's no one there. You can just go right across the road. So it's a good time saver, or not, just depends, however the situation plays out. So that's how we used ISR. And these are just some notes that were on a PowerPoint. I didn't complete them because I had gotten different notes for the Weasel. So, but those are on a PowerPoint, I just didn't finish them. And then this is for if you want to extend the range of your radio. This is something you probably want to pre-construct on YouTube. They'll have, you just type in jungle antenna on YouTube and people explain how to build this. All this information is in the Ranger handbook, and the RIs that I talked to were cool about putting this up. They don't think they've ever, at least the current RIs, I don't believe I've ever seen anyone ever use this, but if you have it pre-set up and you watch a couple YouTube videos and you feel confident, you could give it a shot. It's very, very minimal amount of equipment to carry. It would take a little bit of prep work to get it, I would say, to get some of this built, so when you go to set it up, you're not just doing it from scratch in the field. But if you do it right, it should probably take maybe 10 minutes to set up, maybe max 15. But if you're at an ORP where you're there for like, you know, an hour and a half or something, while leaders are doing recon, there's enough time in there to set that up. And where that's beneficial is if you're like, your ORP's like in a bowl or something, and your recon climbs out of it and does recon somewhere, and then to go ahead and send like a radio signal, those radio waves are gonna like travel over your ORP. Or if you're like up on a mound and your ORP's down here and your recon climbs up and your objective's up here, your radio signal won't really, you know, I mean, some of it will go down there, but most likely you'll have a hard time getting comms set up, even with the long whip. So if you were to go up somewhere where there's a little bit more of elevation and throw a 550 cord up over a limb, you could hoist this antenna up, and you'd be able to catch a little bit more of those radio waves and possibly have a better signal. So this just kind of explains the curvature of the earth and that the thoughts behind that. But again, all of this is in the Ranger handbook, so you can read it, and they explain what this stuff means. And if you have any extra questions about this stuff, you just YouTube like ham radio and just kind of watch some videos. These are just to kind of give you a brief summary of what this is. This just calculates how high to set your antenna, given that if there's no obstacles like hills or whatnot, it's just flat, and it's a flat round mound. You just do some calculations and you know how high to set your antenna, so you'd be able to catch the radio waves. And then this is just more of like how to is this it? Yeah, this one is it. This is just how to calculate how to make an antenna. But for all intents and purposes, and Darby, you're going to be doing single channel plain text, and these are all the frequency ranges you're probably going to be, or you are going to be in. This is just a little cheat sheet, so if you're relatively between these two frequencies, you cut your antenna elements at those lengths, and all 4 elements as it says, and that would be all 4 of these elements. So if you're into that, I know some of the people were wanting to make the radios work better. That would work, but it wouldn't really work when you're doing like a reactive contact, or you're doing an ambush, because you're not really, you're in a fighting, you're taking contact. You're not gonna throw this up when you're flanking, so you don't really need it. It's more for when you're stationary. And then I was trying to get some notes put together as to what the first look of leadership, kind of the order of what they go through, and then what the second DAF of the day would be. It's kind of what my notes were. I think I need to move a few things around, but that's kind of a general idea. You can kind of expand on it. And those are kind of my notes. So